NBA Today free agency special here. Our senior insider, Shams Charania, is back with us. Shams, what more can you tell us about Brook Lopez?
We have big news out of Milwaukee. Brook Lopez is departing the Bucks. I'm told he has reached agreement on a 2-year, $18 million deal to sign with the Los Angeles Clippers. And so after 7 seasons with the Bucks, the one-time champion in 2021, Brook Lopez is departing where he'll back up Ivica Zubac, play a little bit more with Zubac potentially as well, being able to space the floor. So the Clippers have a new big man, someone that can start, someone that can play off the bench. But Brook Lopez departs Milwaukee for the Clippers.
Shams, thank you so very much. And a big man that can certainly shoot the ball as well. Brian, put this into context for us in the Los Angeles Clippers.
So this hits a couple of teams. Obviously, the Clippers just got a high quality backup. The Bucks, this has been their franchise center for their championship team.
Correct.
If you're Giannis Antetokounmpo, you are now having a question, who is our starting center going to be? But this is a blow to the LA Lakers.
Well, when Shams said Los Angeles, you see Udonis, he starts to lean in Los Angeles, and then it was Clippers.
Brook Lopez was an option for them. Now, with the Lakers, that would have potentially been a starting job. Now, we don't know. The Lakers may have another starter that they've got. Let's wait and let's see what happens there. Brook Lopez, obviously from Southern California, has played here before. So he's going into a backup situation. You know, a good contract, 2 years, $18 million. Certainly the Lakers could have afforded to match that. So I'm going to wait and see, but I am surprised that if the Lakers prioritized him, that they would have lost out to the Clippers. But I'm going to wait and see what happens with the Lakers because they still need a center. And another guy that they had interest in, Clint Capella, off the board to Houston.
And he definitely comes off the bench, but I see situations where you can actually play him next to Zubac. I see situations where Giannis is the guy who's getting downhill, he's getting in the paint, and Brook is spending most of his time on the perimeter. So even though he will be coming off the bench, I see situations, I see rotations where both of those guys can play together, and also Brook is amazing at guarding, protecting the rim. So he's a guy who you bring in. Zubac is not as big or as athletic. Well, neither one of those guys is athletic. But Brook does a great both of protecting the rim. So you play these both guys together, you protect the rim, you got size. I like this move for them, and I like this move for Brook, even though I was hoping it would be LA, the Lakers. But I like this move.
LA.
I thought that's where you were leading. I thought it was going to be. I was leading into it. But I like this move for Brook. I like this move for the Clippers as well. And I think they can go big, or they can go big and small.
I love when you have a positional rotation where they don't do the same things.
Yes.
So it gives a defense a different look. And also Brook Lopez playing with a guy like James Harden. You talk about a pick and pop dream for a 5. To play with a guy that can get downhill and make those kind of finds back out to the perimeter, tailor-made for Brook Lopez. He shoots that shot at a high rate, and he still is an elite rim protector. So he's a guy that will give you something on that end of the floor, too. If you want to play 4 guards and Brook Lopez protect the rim, you could do that as well.
Again, NBA in 2024-25, the season just ended. We got taught a lesson: size and depth and size. You have to have it. Look at Houston, look at the Clippers. They are reacting to the need depth.
Look at Denver. Even Denver is trying to sort of retool, particularly in the depth piece of that equation, but that still leaves a question for the Los Angeles Lakers. We're going to get to that right here on NBA Today. We have more to come on our free agency special. We're rolling on for another hour and 5 minutes. We will be right back.
Every time I pop out
Busy here in the last couple of hours. They've been making a lot of moves here. Cam Johnson is in. Michael Porter Jr. is out, according to our Shams Charania. Cam Johnson fills the role of Michael Porter Jr. and is really going to thrive, I think, next to Nikola Jokic here, Brian. Do you think that this move, plus also bringing Bruce Brown back, is going to change where Denver's at in the West?
Well, they're not done yet. They've got more safe space here. Look, Cam Johnson and Michael Porter Jr. are different players. They're comparable players. They do different things. It's not like Cam Johnson is a huge upgrade. Michael Porter Jr. has a lot going for him. But Cam Johnson is vastly cheaper. He's like $16, $17 million a year cheaper over the next couple of years. And in a second apron era, that matters. And that's why the Nuggets sent a first-round pick in this deal, to grease that extra money they're sending to Brooklyn. So now with that extra money, the Nuggets can sort of build out their roster again, go to try to backfill some of the guys they've lost over the last few years. And Cam Johnson is a very good replacement for Michael Porter Jr. And Bruce Brown is a return to the 2023 team, which had great depth.
Yes.
Already communicating with some people in Denver. They're ecstatic about what this team is doing because look, it felt like when they won their championship, it was more than a one championship type of team. With Jokic, with his age, with his skill level, now you go out and you're starting to reinvigorate this franchise now. I think Cam Johnson is a major upgrade. These will be the best shots Cam Johnson's ever gotten in his career. That's what's going to happen to the shot quality for a guy with a pure stroke. I think Cam Johnson's going to have a great year for Denver, and also not a liability at all on the other end of the floor. And then you go get Bruce Brown.
Right.
A lot of people were very frustrated they lost him in the first place. Now he is back in the fold, and what that addresses is depth. Because you talk about the ultimate utility knife, and this is one of Jokic's biggest problems he had with their roster. They weren't deep enough, and you saw that in the postseason. Bruce Brown helps address that as well.
Not to mention, Denver is coming off a season where they led the NBA in points per game from starters. So a much-needed sixth man coming back here in Bruce Brown. And when you talk about the West, you're thinking about the Oklahoma City Thunder being the team that paces the entire Western Conference. Who did we say up until the NBA Finals was the team that pushed them to the brink more than anyone? It was the Denver Nuggets, UD.
Yeah, it was the Denver Nuggets, and I'm with you. I love the Bruce Brown pickup because not only is he a dog defensively, but offensively. He plays perfect. He fits perfect with them. He's a guy who plays off the ball. He doesn't have the skill set where he needs the ball in his hand. But when you run that pick and roll with Murray and Jokic, he plays in that dunker. He slides back door. You turn your head. He gets offensive rebound. He does all the little things. This is a guy who's going to impact the game, make winning plays, and you do not have to draw up anything for him at all.
Well, when you look at the favorites in the Western Conference, you, of course, have the defending champions at the top, Oklahoma City. But then it's the Houston Rockets that are quickly catching up with them. Many moves this offseason already, and they were the number 2 seed last year. The odds reflect that. And then you see the Denver Nuggets with the moves that they've been making, followed by the Lakers and then the Timberwolves. Let's dive into some of those moves because it's been a busy offseason for the Rockets. Headlined, of course, by bringing in 15-time All-Star Kevin Durant. They're the 4th team to trade for a 25 points per game scorer the off-season after a 50-win season. That's a lot of numbers. It just means they're really good. Fred VanVleet, meanwhile, intends to sign a 2-year, $50 million deal with Houston after the Rockets declined his nearly $45 million team option. The 2019 champ ranked 7th in assist-to-turnover ratio this season. And then Jabari Smith Jr., he intends to sign a 5-year, $122 million rookie extension with Houston. The 3rd pick in the 2022 draft is one of 3 players in Rockets history to score 2,500 points before turning 22, along with Jalen Green and Alperen Şengün. I don't know which one of you two is higher on the moves that Houston has made. You were singing their praises. Do you think that they're in that same category with Oklahoma City or just right there knocking on the door?
For me, I think now I'm looking at the Houston Rockets as a legitimate number 2 in the West. That's also a contender.
Yes.
Last year they finished 2nd in the West. I don't think anybody really looked at them as a team that could make a run through the Western Conference and end up in the finals.
Was that just lack of experience?
I think they were just a little bit too young, and I also think people had questions about the lead guard. Jalen Green is a very talented player. He's not a natural lead guard, and they didn't know how to close games. Well, guess what? They just signed the ultimate closer. Kevin Durant is the solution for their problems offensively, but it's not just that. Just Durant alone, I think I said to you, I really liked it. Now I love it. You go out, you add a Dorian Finney-Smith to the mix. You get a Clint Capella to join them as well. Houston Rockets, to me now, have I think, separated a little bit from other teams in the West for that number 2.
You like it, I love it.
You're like Cold Stone Creamery. Like it, love it, gotta have it.
I'm a defensive guy, and obviously you give up some defense when you lose Dylan Brooks, but you bring in a guy like Finley Smith, who's also a Gator, go Gators, by the way. But you bring in a guy like Finley Smith, who shot 41% from 3 last year. So you're talking about a guy, once again, who does not need the ball in his hand. You know your guys that are going to handle. Van Fleet's going to handle. We got to get Kevin Durant in the spot. Jabari Smith is very, very good offensively. Şengün needs the ball in his hand. This is a guy who does not need the ball in his hand. He's going to shoot 42% from the 3. He's going to guard your best player. And also, Ime Udoka loves to switch on defense. So this is a guy who can switch 1 through 5 on any given night.
The Rockets are on an organizational hot streak. They are drafting well, they are trading well, they are using free agency well, they are negotiating contracts well. They've been very active the last couple of days, not just with Kevin Durant, but also Jabari Smith Jr. into a new contract, getting Fred VanVleet into a new contract. Tonight, they signed Clint Capella to a 3-year deal, which was a surprise. It will backfill them. They extended Steven Adams. When you play in the Western Conference, you got to have size. You got to try to beat Nikola Jokic. They've retained Steven Adams and added Clint Capella. They've got Alperen Şengün. They are really, really doing good moves. And then their development of Tari Eason, of Amen Thompson has really been going. If you're going to beat the Oklahoma City Thunder, you've got to win across the board.
Right.
Yeah. The Rockets are piling up W's.
It feels like they have an embarrassment of riches right now. I turn to Bobby Marks once again, who has the 3D lineup fired up. Bobby, who's starting, who's swapping in? Because they have a lot of firepower here.
Well, you notice something here, legs and UD, size.
Yes.
6'10", 7 foot, 6'10". That is a big front court. Now, this is what they can do. Dorian Finney-Smith. You can put him in for Jabari Smith. Now you kind of interchangeable lineups here. Remember, Tari Eason, Steven Adams, they're bringing back Jeff Green, Jason Tate. They've got a lot of different options. Here's some things to keep an eye on. This goes away, right? This is going to Dorian Finney-Smith. But keep an eye on for the 2 extensions here. Kevin Durant, 2 for $118, and Tari Eason, he's extension eligible up until October 20th. But for Houston, they've nailed the offseason so far. Extended the head coach, certainly what they did with the Durant trade, and still have, here's the best thing. They still have draft assets and tradable contracts to go out and make another big swing if they want to.
Well, and so for the first time, I get to say Houston certainly does not have a problem. This free agency is moving fast and furious.